Hello and welcome back to another video. I know it's been a long time since I made any extra Jehovah's Witness content, but I thought today was an appropriate day to make a video. With all the things that are going on with my son and losing him this past month has been crazy. I want to thank everybody who has reached out to me on YouTube, Facebook, Reddit. You guys have all been awesome. The extra Jehovah's Witness community has been awesome. But today I decided to make a video about why Jehovah's Witness theology does not make any sense. And today we're going to talk about shunning. Now, there's been countless videos by great ex-Jehovah's Witness YouTubers, people who are better speakers than me, who are more eloquent, who have all the receipts and all the history and screenshots of the Watchtower and Awake magazines. But I'm not going to do that today. That's not my content. My content comes from here, my personal life, my stories. So I'm going to talk about why Jehovah's Witness shunning doesn't make any sense. Why is there so many different loopholes in it? And, you can tell that this religion is just man-made just by the shunning alone. So let's just talk about the history briefly of my life when it comes to JW shunning. And I've mentioned this in my previous videos. I know I'm going to be going over some things, but there are some new things I want to bring up. So, for instance, I want to go back 40 years ago to 1985 when one of my uncles was disfellowshipped. That was the first time, I was like 7 or 8 years old when my uncle was disfellowshipped for about a year. We couldn't talk to him at family gatherings, at meetings, and he was reinstated. Everything was good. Nobody ever said what happened. I don't really want to know, but that was my first experience with JW shunning. But even as a teenager, I didn't like it because, for instance, in my congregation, there were a lot of unbaptized children of Jehovah's Witnesses who never joined the religion. And I didn't like the fact that they were allowed to have contact with their family and the disfellowshipped children were not. It didn't make any sense. It's like a loophole. This came to the point in like the early 2000s, about 24 years ago. My wife's parents were adult converts, and the person who brought them in, the couple, were really well-known Jehovah's Witnesses in the Allentown, Nazareth, Bath area. And they were a power couple. Everybody who lives in northeastern PA knows who this couple is. Sadly, they both have passed away, the people who brought my in-laws into the organization. I said the truth back there, I'm sorry. Now, they had 2 children. One was baptized, pioneer, the other one was not. And we went to their house, this is before I even had kids, so like 25 years ago. And I didn't like it that the non-baptized, non-JW son was there and his 3 kids were there. Because I was a born-again Jehovah's Witness. I was in it to win it. And I didn't like the fact that the grandparents were acting like nothing was wrong, everything was fine. And it didn't sit with me because I've seen so much shunning in the past. Why was this okay? Why was it okay that they had contact with their non-Jehovah's Witness children? You could make it even further case. You could have twins, 2 girls, 2 boys. One gets baptized, one does not. They both have sex as a teenager. The one that's baptized is shunned, and then they have kids. Their parents never can have any contact with them. The non-baptized JW, who doesn't get disfellowshipped because not baptized, everything is fine, But then, the baptized JW can never talk to their parents. It didn't make any sense. It was a loophole. There's also 2 more loopholes that I didn't like as a JW. We know the business. If you work with the Jehovah's Witnesses Fellowship, you can still have contact with them during work. That didn't make any sense. Because, again, it was, Watchtower wanted it to look like they were normal religion. They didn't want to look so culty in other ways, and that's why they allowed that to happen. And also, if there was a family emergency, somebody's sick, somebody's dying, a death, you were allowed contact there. You were shunned and unshunned. And I saw that firsthand in '89. So my mother's mom, my maternal grandfather, had a valve heart surgery. I was 12 years old in '89, and my disfellowship uncle on my mom's side showed up. Because remember, my 2 uncles on my mom's side were disfellowship in the 1960s, and they never came back. My dad's brother got his fellowship in the 80s. He came back. So I only saw my 2 uncles on my mom's side once each. In 1982, I was at my grandma's house, and my one uncle showed up, and my mom was not there. And in '89, the other uncle showed up at the hospital to see his mom because she was getting open heart surgery. And my mom was really rude to her brother at that hospital, but she did talk to him. after my grandma was recovering from that surgery, I actually stayed with her for a few weeks. And my grandmother was a good JW, but she never cut off a relationship with her two sons. And she encouraged me to write a letter to my uncles, and she thought if I would write letters back and forth that they would come back to the religion. I don't know. So I wrote a letter to my uncle, and my mom actually ripped it up and threw it in little pieces right in front of me. I was about 12 or 13 when that happened. So I've seen that. So why was it okay to talk when my grandmother was in health issues, but normally you couldn't? Now, is that the only time that happened? Of course not. 4 years ago, my wife has been a nurse for about 20 years. She's worked in the medical field. She has worked in hospice and in nursing homes. And she got contacted COVID. She's one of the first people in our state to get COVID in March of 2020. So my wife was in the hospital right when all the National Guards were showing up. I got sent home from work, even though I wasn't sick. My daughter didn't get it. My son got it. My wife had it. And my wife was the sickest she's ever been. She was, I forget how long she was in the hospital for. And she made a complete recovery of it, of course. But my mom was texting me and calling me. Now, this was 4 years after I left the cults. This is 4 years. This is March of 2020. We left February of 2016. And my mom was acting like a normal mom. And I told her that her grandson, Sam, was sick too. And I called the family doctor up and I asked if I can get an appointment. And they're like, well, how bad is he? I'm like, he's not as sick as his mom, but he's pretty sick. And they're like, we're shutting down. So my son didn't get any treatment at all for COVID. My daughter and I didn't get it. So my wife got better. So this is like April. She goes back to work in April of 2020. And my mom cut off all communication with me again. She acted like I did not exist. Now, if you talk to my mom or my in-laws, they'll pretend they never shunned us, which is a lie. So it was okay to talk to me for those couple weeks when my wife was very sick, but once she was better, the emergency's over. And it just really hurts me, So I really haven't had any contact with my mom. I haven't seen her since 2015. But there's been occasional times where she will text me and call me. It is very strange. Like she shuns me and then she unshuns me. My in-laws case was the same way. I was an elder. My wife woke up first. She was a pioneer of 18 years. She left first. My kids stopped going. So for about the last 2-3 months, I was going by myself. I would still probably be a Jehovah's Witness if it wasn't for my wife. She's the one that got me out. My in-laws wanted to have communication with me, my wife, and the kids, and not me, because my father-in-law blamed it on me, not his own daughter, who's smarter than I am. So that was very strange. So my wife said, no, you have to either accept all 4 of us or none of us. So since then, no communication with my father-in-law. My father-in-law, a year and a half ago, got cancer. All of a sudden, there was a chance he was going to die. He's communicated with me and my wife, everything, and then he gets better, cuts off all communication. Shunned, unshunned. And let's go now to May of 2024. So my son was an autistic gay man, and I'm proud of the fact that he's gay, because I don't care if he was trans, bi, non-binary, queer. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to judge him as a gay man. He dated a lot of people up here in Pennsylvania, and nobody clicked. He met this guy online back in February, and it was just sparked from the first time. This guy came up to our house twice and visited from Charlotte, North Carolina. My son went down probably 6 or 7 times. My son quit his job of 3 years that he loved and sold stuff and moved down there April 1st. Now, here's a weird thing. So right before my son moved down there, he asked for his grandma's phone number, my mom's phone number. He didn't want my in-laws. He just wanted my mom's number. And he's been communicating with my mom. So my mom's been shunning me, but she's been talking to her baptized grandson, which is another weird loophole. So I don't want to get into my son's story. You probably followed me. You know what happened. We reported him missing May 5th. Last time I talked to him was April 26th. My wife and I spent a week down there. Ex-Jehovah's Witnesses from South Carolina, Stephanie and Brian, you guys are amazing. You guys helped us out. My wife's family, her one cousin lives down there, never a Jehovah's Witness. He helped us out for 3 days. So, we came back home. The police did find my son's body. But so I called my mom when we were down in Charlotte, asking if she had any whereabouts of Sam, if he had talked to her, if there was any red flags in the relationship. So my mom and I talked for about 2 weeks. We texted every single day. My wife called my mom, talked to her. She put her on speaker, pretended everything was normal, like she hadn't shunned me for 8 years. Like this is just a beautiful conversation. She treated me like a mom. May 21st, when I texted my mom, they found Sam's remains 3 weeks after he was killed. My mom blocked me again, and she has blocked me. I've tried to invite her to the funeral, and I can't call her, I can't text her. I tried WhatsApp, nothing. I tried to communicate with my sister, my dad, nothing. So I have been shunned again for my mom because that medical emergency has been over because my son is dead now. And it's just heartening. So why is it okay to talk for 2 weeks or a couple days? It doesn't make any sense at all. If this is a perfect organization, or if it's imperfect men running by a spiritual perfect creature like Jesus and Jehovah, there would not be loopholes. They would not have to keep updating New Light or changing their teachings because they lost government funding because of their shunning. They wouldn't lie in court cases in Canada about their shunning. It is very frustrating. Now, many people at work have asked, like, hey, Martin, you're doing a great job. How are you doing so good? And here is the sad thing. My world is devastated. I lost my 21-year-old son. I will never get to talk to him again. And that just breaks my heart to think about it. He was such a good kid. But here's the sad thing. All of you who are watching, who are being shunned by your Jehovah's Witness family, all of you are in the same boat. All of you have lost family, cousins, brothers, sisters, parents, children. Because even though they're not theoretically dead, they're still dead to us. Because remember, I had 30 plus Jehovah's Witness cousins. I had like 14 aunts and uncles who were all Jehovah's Witnesses. I had a sister. I had second cousins on both my mom's and my dad's side. I lost them all 8 years ago. Not one of those people, not one of my 14 aunts and uncles on my dad's side have reached out to me and asked how I was doing. Not one of my cousins on my dad's side or my second cousins on my mom's side who are Jehovah's Witnesses have reached out because they still consider us dead. So I have accepted that fact. I know my parents are probably not going to wake up. I know my sister's never going to leave. So she's basically dead to me because she wants nothing to do with me. So the fact that I lost so much family 8 years ago, I think prepared me for the loss of my son. But it's still different because there's always is hope. And my in-laws now have reached out to us and are talking to us again. Will it be permanently? I doubt it. My father-in-law is an elder. He'll probably shun us again in the future. But now it's okay to talk to their apostate children and stepson, a son-in-law, because there's this family emergency. So I don't hate anybody. I love my in-laws. I love my parents. I love my sister. I love all my relatives. I know they don't have their own thinking. I know they don't have their own thoughts. I'm not angry anymore. I feel sorry for them. I really do. I wish they would wake up and find the real life. So this is just a quick video about my son. I hope his memory always goes on. We're planning a celebration of his life at the end of the month. We only got his ashes this week and his death certificate this week. There's still a lot of work to get done. And I'll never forget him. He was a great kid, and he will always be missed. And it's a shame that he couldn't live his life longer and enjoy life better. It is also a shame that it's Pride Month and my son was part of the community. But again, if you want to make a donation to domestic violence organization, I'll try to put a link in the description. I don't really know how to do that yet, but that's where we're going to be doing for, instead of flowers, for his services. And again, thanks so much for all of you guys. You guys are so awesome. I can't do this without you. The people on Facebook and Reddit and YouTube and Twitter, or X, whatever we want to call it now, you guys have been amazing. Thank you so much. So with that said, Watchtower Theology does not make any sense. There is so much more content I should be making. I have the time to do these videos. Paradise doesn't make any sense. The 144,000, none of it makes any sense when you really get down to it. So thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing, and have a great day, and be kind to one another.